All right, welcome to our first show of the year. We'll be talking about Georgia, Georgia Tech, and the Atlanta Falcons on football's Play to Win.
Today's show is being brought to you by Ford, Mellow Mushroom, and Georgia Lottery. Welcome to football's Play to Win with Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith, Falcons All-Pro offensive tackle Bob Whitfield, Fantasy Football League Master Adam Brown, Game Analysis with Nikki Williams, Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Ed Schechter, Medical and Injury Update with Dr. Andrew Lalage, and your host, Atlanta sports legend Bob Neal. Today's Hometown Team Report is brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Makers, a higher order of pizza for your tailgating events.
Welcome to the show with Jeffrey, Bob, Nikki, Chuck, yours truly, and we're going to get started on our right off the bat talking about the University of Georgia and Kirby Smart. It is his second year. Yep. Expectations are, as for any Georgia coach, very high.
Well, the first thing you got to look at is expectations. Let's talk about what he talked about, changing the culture out of spring ball. Now, let's see in the fall if he's changed the culture. It's about being tough. It's about getting after it. So he talked about competing, change the culture. That's what I want to see this fall.
Culture. What about the O-line? It's all about the O-line here. You know what I'm saying? What you have to have with the O-line, Isaiah Wynn missed some early ball, and he has to get back, and he has to be the anchor. He's a senior left tackle, and he's going to be the anchor for that line.
Well, the SEC has historically, the second year has been a banner year for these coaches. I mean, Urban Meyer and Gene Chizik both won national championships their second year. Nick Saban took an undefeated Alabama to win the SEC championship. Even Mark Richt in 2002 won the SEC East his second year as an SEC head coach. So, and speaking of that, Mark Richt sent Kirby Smart a very nice tweet wishing him luck this season, and Kirby returned the compliment saying from one DGD to another, and we all know what that means.
Expectations are high. They're in a mediocre division. The only really two tough teams they got are Florida and Auburn. But we'll see what happens.
All right, let's talk about Georgia Tech. The way I look at Georgia Tech is they are an enigma. Yeah. ACC, Georgia Tech has some very high-quality players, but if you take a look at the wins and losses here, last year you see 9-4. What are you expecting?
Well, what I expect them to be well at the triple option, and what Georgia Tech does, they give everybody a tough game. And there's one thing that most coaches say anytime they play against Georgia Tech: we hate playing against Georgia Tech because any game they play, they rough teams up.
It's a whole different thing.
And the next week, it's hard for other teams to play against other teams because they're beat up. Georgia Tech's tough.
Last year, they lost 3 out of 4 games. The defense was terrible. They go to Virginia Tech, where everybody figures they're going to get killed. Beat Virginia Tech, run the schedule, win the bowl game. You never know with Tech.
Well, there you go. You got them already. Beat Virginia Tech, run the schedule, win the bowl game. I like it.
They got to break the cycle. It's like they're good, and then they're bad, and then they're good, then they're bad, and they can't ever build from their success.
When they beat Georgia, that's a starting state.
They're missing a running back. What about Mills? He's gone. The freshman running back Mills is gone. They got to fill that position. And they got a new quarterback, the one that started in Virginia Tech. We're going to talk about him throughout the season. So Georgia Tech is a work in progress.
Okay, my question here for all of you is the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl hangover or not? Or is there such a thing? You guys know about that.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's really a Super Bowl hangover. I just think it has to do with the personnel. I just think the guys they have, Dan Quinn has built this team to withstand what happened last year. Grady Jarrett, Devondre Campbell, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. You tell me, you think they're going to turn it down? All those are high competitors. I think they'll be fine.
How dry I am, how dry I am, how dry. Woozy. Falcons might be woozy from this, Bob. And this is what happens, you know what I'm saying? You get them pressure situations, 28-3, starts ringing in your head again. It's going to be like you have to snap and clear the stuff.
I'm really shocked Bob said that. Any competitor that's ever been on the field, they're not in the middle of the game thinking about 28-3. So, Bob, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. You're kind of playing like you're a real broadcaster right now.
It happens before the game,
Who were you first, Bob?
No, that's right. Before the game, it seeps in.
Never in the history of the game has any competitor I've ever met says, before the game, I'm in the game, Gary, come out of the tunnel. Wow, we lost the Super Bowl 23. Never.
Back of their mind? Not even back of their mind?
It's a bitter pill.
Before the game?
It's a bitter pill.
All right.
Bitter pill to swallow. And there are teams that know how to win, and there are teams that know how to lose.
You know
All
what,
right.
though? Hangovers are pretty easy to get over when you're young. They don't have a projected starter on defense over the age of 28.
Coca-Cola and aspirin always works for me. Okay, we're going to come back in a moment with the NFL report. Stay with us on Football's Play to Win.
You never know when the moment will strike. And when it does, you want to be ready. Mellow Mushroom's craft pizza, beer, and cocktails can help you enjoy a more satisfying eating experience. Mellow Mushroom is safe for daily use. If you find yourself sitting in a Mellow Mushroom for more than 4 hours, you may want to go home and come back another day. Mellow Mushroom is not for everyone. Just kidding, it is. Ask your doctor about Mellow Mushroom. He may want to come with you.
Nissan is the premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and we surprised fans with this award-winning lineup.
Marcus Allen.
Are you guys ready to go train with us? Let's go do it.
Then, they experienced Nissan's award-winning lineup.
That's incredible.
It's Nissan's bottom line model year-end event. Lease the Rogue family starting at just $159 per month, or save up to $10,760 on select models.
Will you take me to the Nissan dealership?
The Gonzalez family is going with Academy.
Why Academy over the other store?
I can afford to get all 3 of my kids the name brands they want.
Mom, what's for dinner tonight?
No idea, your dad's cooking.
Start your season with the best brands at the lowest prices guaranteed. Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Today's NFL report is brought to you by Nellie Ford, Sandy Springs. The car you want, the name you trust. It has to be Nellie Ford, Sandy Springs.
All right, our NFL report. No team deserves more conversation than the New England Patriots. 5 Super Bowl titles since 2000. Dynasty, Chuck Smith?
Oh, no question, dynasty. Let me tell you a little fact here. Remember when New England played against the Rams? Everybody thought the Rams were going to have a dynasty? It's flipped around. And the question for me is Tom Brady the greatest player or athlete of our generation up there with Michael Jordan? I believe he is.
Well, he's definitely up there, Chuck, and I like what he's done, up to this point with all the rings and all the glory he's done on the field. But what he does very well is come back from adversity, and in that game against the Falcons, he did come back from adversity. And so Tom Brady is Jordan-esque.
Jordan-esque is good.
Remember this, the last 2 Super Bowls were gifts. Seattle gave him a gift, they're on the 1-yard line. Lynch could have walked in, Falcons gave him a gift. They're great, but I don't know what to say as far as a dynasty. And people think they're going to go undefeated this year. That's not going to happen.
I think Belichick's about to move on from Tom Brady.
Good teams get the breaks.
Belichick is about to move on from
he's
Tom
done it before with players that were supposed to retire as Patriots. He did it with Wes Welker and Richard Seymour. You're looking at me, but tell me how many quarterbacks have had success in their 40s.
I'm laughing at you.
It's either going to be a gradual decline or he's going to fall off of a cliff. But it's going to happen no matter how many times he puts on his special pants and eats his special fruits. I mean, it's bound to happen. Belichick will do what's best for the team. He may
Whether
move
it's
on.
coaches, players, Belichick, he has a system.
Yep.
Anybody that knows, he'll bring in Rodney Harrison, he'll get rid of Richard Seymour. It's a system. So for me, I just think it's going to keep going on long as Belichick keeps his system intact, and that's why he wins championships.
Belichick may retire before Brady. So.
Oh, there you go. All right, said right here. All right, Ezekiel Elliott out. Ezekiel Elliott, how big a factor will that be?
He's out on a boat partying with a bunch of chicks. Did you see him? He has not learned his lesson from women at all. He was on a boat on the off day with all these women in bikinis dancing around him. Anyway, he had the day off.
All right, that's the spoils of being a big pro football player. You guys know. You don't have to tell us any stories, though. Let's talk about Dak Prescott. And my question is he really that good?
Yes, he is. He's a winner. He's a leader. I love him in Mississippi State. He plays within himself, and he's great at the Cowboys. He's going to be a great pro quarterback.
Yeah, you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Dak's a great quarterback, but I think it also helps to have a great running game. I also think it has to have a go-to receiver. I also think it helps to have an offensive line that's been created by first and second rounders. But I think what Dak is, he's a functional quarterback built around a lot of talented players.
I mean, look, he took the team last season from a 4th-round draft pick to a starting necessity to the #1 playoff seed in the NFC. And this year he's going to be prepared. I mean, he wasn't even ready for all that last year.
Well, I think the other quarterback kind of gave him the job. He hurt his back, and Dak took advantage of a good opportunity. That's just how it goes.
That's what the league is about.
Yeah, that's what the league is about. And he's a good player, good competitor. But we'll see what happens this year.
All right, we'll come back in just a moment. We continue with Football Play to Win.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind.
tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Hurry into Nally Ford and get 0% APR for 72 months on 2016 F-150 XLT, plus over $4,000 in bonus cash.
Hey y'all, we're Low Cash and we love Nally Ford and NallyFord.com. It has to be Nally Ford Sandy Springs.
This is it. This Is It Barbecue and Seafood has a real value for you. 10 delicious dinners under $10 each. That's right, 10 under 10. Choose from barbecue chicken, fried or grilled shrimp, fried catfish nuggets, char-grilled cut wings, fried whole wings, chopped chicken or pork barbecue, and so many more. Each dinner comes with bread and 2 delicious sides, like baked mac and cheese, collard greens, sweet potato souffle, and so many more. Run, don't walk to the nearest store or order online now at thisisitbbq.com.
It's the real deal! And so much more.
Hurry, it's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Shovel.
Mulch.
Brick pavers.
Fence post.
Concrete.
We're good.
And wood for my castle.
We got it.
And a slide and a drawbridge.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. It's our best offer of the year on F-150. Get 0% for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Now get the built Ford Tough F-150 with 0 for 72 plus $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Hurry, the Ford Summer Sales Event and this deal ends September 5th.
Today's NFL Fantasy Report is being brought to you by Haviland Express Lube, driven to perform, so our customers and their vehicles can too.
All right, let's talk a little fantasy football now. We have Chuck Smith with us, along with, of course, Adam Brown. And Adam, let's start by talking about the NFC quarterbacks, and there's some pretty good ones.
The NFC South quarterbacks this year are 4 of the best quarterbacks you could find in fantasy football. Yeah. You got Matt Ryan, you got Drew Brees, you got Cam Newton, and you got Jameis Winston. Let's start with Matt Ryan, though. Chuck, tell me, man, Matt Ryan, can he have a better season than he did last year?
Well, I don't know. That's going to be tough, man, because last year was a perfect storm for Matt Ryan. But I will tell you this, he will be effective. As long as that offensive line holds up, he's got Julio Jones, he's got Devontae Freeman to run the ball. He's got a good chance to have a great year, though.
Yeah, he has a lot of weapons around him still, and I really like him a lot. Drew Brees is another guy that we both like a lot this year because he throws for 5,000 yards every year.
Right.
So Drew Brees, though he lost Brandon Cooks, but he picked up Adrian Peterson and Alvin Kamara, who you love, the Tennessee boy.
Right, really, man, we're not worried about Cooks because the bottom line is Drew Brees is a stud. Drew Brees can carry this offense. And think about this, Matt Ryan, 38 touchdowns last year, Drew Brees, 37. The guy has done a lot with a little for a long time. He's going to throw for 4,000 or 5,000
Totally
yards.
agree with you. Cam Newton's somebody that's coming off of an injury, down a little bit, but they got my guy, I love him, Christian McCaffrey, to go along with Jonathan Stewart this year. And it's going to take a lot of pressure off of him to throw the ball to Funchess, but he's still got Greg Olsen. What do you think about Carolina's chances?
Well, I'm not on the Christian McCaffrey bandwagon because they ain't got no offensive line, all right? That's the first and foremost thing. And last year they had a leaky defense, so how we even know Christian's going to get enough carries and get enough, receiving yards? So I'm not ready to get on the bandwagon like you are.
I love Christian McCaffrey, though. And then Jameis Winston is – so we have 3 former NFL MVPs in this group of 4. Jameis Winston could be the 4th player. My feeling with Jameis Winston is with Doug Martin on suspension the first couple of weeks, but you have Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard. Fantasy-wise, he's loaded offensively, and if he just keeps his head on him, I think he could have a huge season.
Well, Jameis has got swag, and that's the best thing at quarterback you want to bring in. Let me tell you this, what leaders do. Leaders give others confidence so they believe they can do it, and that's one thing that Jameis does. He brings a confidence and leadership that makes his teammates feel like they can do it. Sometimes they overachieve. I like Tampa. We'll see what they do.
And I also think with Jameis Winston, he's going to bring out the best in Deshaun Jackson.
Well, I mean, how's he going to bring out the best? Deshaun been great. So I just think that Jameis Winston, with the defense that gives him the ball, is going to have big numbers regardless because he's a fantastic quarterback.
Yeah, and in the NFC South, you got to admit, these quarterbacks awesome. Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston. Wow. That's our fantasy report. We'll be back with more on Football's Play to Win right after this.
Good luck, everyone.
Who do you trust to change your oil? I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. This is really my car, and Haviland Express Lube is who I truly trust. They're professional, priced to beat the competition, and really, really fast.
Hey football fans, it's the season for tailgating and time to get your car's cooling system ready for winter. Mention Play to Win at any Haviland Express Lube and receive $20 off a coolant exchange service.
To see our real research and find the location nearest you, visit trustdale.com/Haviland.
Nissan is the premier partner of the Heisman Trophy. And we surprised fans with this award-winning lineup.
Marcus Allen. Are you guys ready to go train with us? Let's go do it.
Then, they experienced Nissan's award-winning lineup.
Stop for it. That's incredible.
It's Nissan's bottom line model year-end event. Lease the Rogue family starting at just $159 per month or save up to $10,760 on select models.
Will you take me to the Nissan dealership?
If what you see is what you get, then you've hit the jackpot. You can't fake steak. Longhorn Steakhouse. Tonight's special at the Great American Steak Dinner for $12.99. A center cut sirloin with a side, plus a starter or dessert. And for lunch, try one of our new burgers, like the barbecue bacon burger, only at Longhorn.
Welcome to football's Play to Win with Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith, Falcons All-Pro offensive tackle Bob Whitfield, Fantasy Football League Master Adam Brown, game analysis with Nikki Williams, Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Ed Schechter, medical and injury update with Dr. Andrew Lalage, and your host, Atlanta sports legend Bob Neal. Today's University of Georgia Report is being brought to you by This Is It Barbecue and Seafood, home of Atlanta's original rib tips.
All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about the dog report now with Jeffrey Schechter, Bob Whitfield, Nikki Williams, and Chuck Smith. And we'll add another name there, and that is Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason had a very good year last year, so that brings up the question, as you look at this freshman season numbers for Jacob Eason, what are our expectations for 2017?
Well, I think the first thing he has to do is, number one, keep improving when he throws the ball to make the easy catches, make the easy throws, for the wide receivers, but also it's going to be important to get in and out of the huddle, make sure he gets the ball to Sony Michel and Nick Chubb.
Right, and of course it has to do, as always, it's a cliche, but it's because it's true, with how the offensive line plays, how the running game, and what kind of balance they have.
We talk about balance. I'm going to give a balanced assessment right here, Bob. I'm only going to say this nicely once. I'm going to say these 5 guys' names. We got left tackle Isaiah Wynn, left guard Pat Allen, center Lamont Galliard, right guard Solomon Kinley, and a redshirt freshman at tackle, Andrew Thomas. Those are the guys that are slated to protect Jacob Eason and open those lanes for Sony Michel. And we are going to be watching you every step of the way. Isaiah, you better lead those guys to some victories, because I'm going to be on your neck, buddy.
There you go.
Yikes.
It's announced right here. You call him out.
On your neck.
Kid back Eason.
Yeah.
A major talent. He's got a great arm. The receivers can hang on to the ball. He'll have a great year.
You know what's interesting about Jacob Eason, though? Statistically, he had a better freshman year than Matthew Stafford did. Over 2,400 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and that's 5 less than Matthew Stafford's 13 when he was a freshman. So if he keeps on that projected path, he may be better than Matthew Stafford.
Well, he's got the right coordinator, Jim Chaney, likes to get vertical, throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah, it's going to help him a lot. Let's talk a little bit about the defense, and let's start with the defensive line.
Well, I like Mel Tucker, and he's the defensive coordinator. I think he brings a lot to the table. But you know what? Lorenzo Carter, Trent Thompson going to be big time for the defense this year. And also they brought in Trey Scott as a new D-line coach. I think that's going to pay big dividends for Georgia's defense.
Go. What about the change, though? How does that hurt a team when you change your D-line coach? You know, start with a new guy. This is a new coaching staff, so is it going to change chemistry?
I don't think it affects him. I think it enhances the defensive line, because I think Trey Scott's about getting vertical. He's about striking blocks. And I think he fits what Kirby wants to do. And I think last year, Tracy Rocker didn't fit what Kirby wants to do. I think they got the right fit in Trey Scott.
Okay, as we know in the SEC, really in all of football, but the offensive and defensive line really set the tone. Where does Georgia's offensive and defensive lines fit into the SEC? One of the better groups of offensive and defensive talents?
Well, I definitely think Georgia has one of the better defenses, not only in the SEC, but I think at the end of the season, we're going to say they're one of the best defense in America in college football.
5 guys on O-line got to gel together and compete. And if those 5 guys compete together, they'll do okay. Right now, they're not the best line in the SEC, but they can get there.
All right, that's the story of where you really win and lose football games, and that's going to be the story of Georgia and whether or not they have a successful season or not. We're going to come back in just a moment and continue with football's Play to Win. Stay with us.
This is it.
This Is It Barbecue and Seafood has a real value for you. 10 delicious dinners under $10 each. That's right, 10 under 10. Choose from barbecue chicken, fried or grilled shrimp, fried catfish nuggets, char-grilled cut wings, fried whole wings, chopped chicken or pork barbecue, and so many more. Each dinner comes with bread and 2 delicious sides, like baked mac and cheese, collard greens, sweet potato souffle, and so many more. Run, don't walk to the nearest store or order online now at thisisitbbq.com.
It's the rib tip and so much more.
If you or a loved one has been seriously injured in an accident, don't drop the ball by letting the insurance company run all over you. I worked as an insurance lawyer for 10 years and I know their tactics and game plan. I'm Roger Orlando of the Orlando firm. Let our 30 years of experience tackle the insurance company for you. Our team will get you every dollar you deserve. So put the ball in our hands and we'll get your case across the goal line. Find us online at atlanta.law or call 678-LAW-FIRM.
You think you'll win the lottery when pigs fly? It's time to stare fate in its cute little face, because pigs are flying.
Hello, I'm Wilson.
This summer, get ready to bring home the bacon.
Seriously?
Play the 25th anniversary scratchers from the Georgia Lottery.
Today's SEC College Report is being brought to you by the Southeast Nissan dealers. Choose Nissan.com.
All right, it's time for our SEC and ACC report, and we start with the SEC, and as has happened so many times in the history of the Southeastern Conference, the first question is can anybody beat Alabama, and who might it be if that happens?
Well, I think there's a fighter's chance for Georgia. Here's the thing. Well, Georgia has a running game. The best defense is a great running game because you can control the clock. So I just think with a good quarterback and Georgia developed an offensive line of receivers, I think that running game is going to be deadly this year for Georgia. I really do.
Jeffrey?
Look out for LSU. Came on very strong last year. Their defense was excellent. Ogeron got the offense going. I think they're going to be tough to deal with this year.
All right, those are the two teams. Any other team suggestions for Alabama?
I'm going to take Chuck's old team, UT, University of Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
They got a new quarterback. Josh Dobbs is gone, but they got Jared Garantano. He might guarantee some victories, hopefully, for Tennessee. I like Tennessee with a fighter's chance to maybe just make it interesting in the SEC.
If I ain't pick the balls, they ain't got no chance. I'm staying away. Not this year. Not this year.
No mention of Auburn, though. Is everybody too afraid to mention Auburn, too? Because Gus Malzahn and Kevin Sumlin are the only two SEC coaches to have beaten Nick Saban. And the only thing missing for Auburn last season was at quarterback. So if their quarterback steps it up this year, I think Bama ought to watch out.
Texas A&M does have a great defensive line. 3 of the 4 starters come back. So I'm not counting them out. But, right now, Kevin Sumlin, he's got to win now, or it's going to be a challenge that there's a possibility, that he could be losing his job.
All right, if Alabama's the big dog in the SEC, usually, and I think once again this year, Florida State's the big dog in the ACC.
The team to watch out for in the ACC, and if it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen pretty soon. Beamer Ball got very old at Virginia Tech. Fuentes is a great coach. They gave Clemson all they could handle last year in the championship ACC game. Look out for Vatek.
Who could beat FSU?
Look, I'm going to go down to the bottom, Bob. I'm going to look down very far south and say, Mark Richt, come back to life. Come on, bring University of Miami down with Mark Richt as coach. I think he can get that program turned around to the greatness and glory we know from South Florida football, and he might be the guy.
And bring back that incredible rivalry.
Exactly.
Florida and Miami. That'd be good for all of college football.
I'm just going to cautiously and optimistically say Clemson, but I'm going to not say that in Sharpie, writing it down in stone until I see.
A lot of qualifications here.
I know. I want to see Kelly Bryant. I want to see them after, Auburn and Louisville, and then maybe we'll circle back to this.
Dabo this,
I do
Dabo
love
that.
Dabo.
Everything. Dabo cereal.
You are Satan if you don't love Dabo.
All the guys graduated at Clemson.
All right, what do you say?
All those teams are well and good, but let me tell you the team. It's going to be Louisville. Number 1, Louisville has one of the best offensive minds in the game in Bobby Petrino. Number 2, they play at home, and it's going to be a Thursday night. And guess what? Here's the biggest point right here is they play Florida State a week after the bye. So I really believe Louisville has a legitimate chance to knock off the Noles, and don't be surprised if it happens.
All right, good discussion. That is our ACC and SEC report.
Today's Showdown of the Week is being brought to you by the Georgia Lottery, where every jackpot is a good jackpot.
All right, our Showdown of the Week is the SEC. There are a lot of big games coming up in the Southeastern Conference. As we take a look at that, right at the top, you got Alabama, Florida State, Atlanta, but a lot of big games.
Yeah, that game stands out to me because I'm interested to see the development of Jalen Hurts, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. When you look at Alabama, last year he couldn't throw the ball and they ran the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jalen Hurts develops, especially going against a tough team like Florida State.
All right.
I can't remember the last time a number 1 and number 3 team have gone against each other for the season opener. I mean, this really is like a mini national championship. And you know what's funny about games like this? No matter who loses, no matter how competitive the game is, no matter how great they play, whoever loses is going to drop a notch or two in the rankings right after that game.
They'll be back, though.
Big money now, big money for these kickoff classics. And
no kidding.
I like to see that Texas A&M UCLA matchup out of the Rose Bowl. Jim Moore knows how to get a Pac-12 team ready to challenge an SEC matchup and show them who's really boss. You remember those old school games back in the day?
But I think Jim Moore's all well and good because he's on the hot seat. But the quarterback at Josh Rosen, he's the key out there. Number one, he throws with effectiveness. But one thing about Texas A&M, they have 3 defensive line starters, and the key to this Texas A&M defensive line and this defense is going to be that defensive line. So I think Kevin Sumlin has a great foundation to start with. But Josh Rosen, I think, is going to be in trouble because the SEC, we always bully the teams out west.
Yeah,
always.
exactly.
I think Michigan and Florida is an excellent matchup. These are 2 teams that are coming up short in their conferences and trying to become number 1 in their conference, so that's a good game to watch.
Which way are you leaning there early?
Florida.
I'm shocked.
I was going to say that.
I'm shocked. Florida's down 7, so it's a -7. You got 7 players that were suspended. I don't see how Florida really is going to have a chance against Michigan. I think it's going to be a statement game for Michigan, particularly against an SEC team.
Well, you do have to take into account the suspensions. Without them, it's another story.
Right, no question.
But they will be without them. And Auburn and Clemson in week 2 going to be a very big game also.
Good game, good matchup.
Well, Auburn and Clemson, and I like what you say is a statement game. And what you have in the statement game is you're putting some of the best football games early on in the season. Nick Saban talked about it with this Power 5 stuff, and we're getting some Power 5 type matchups early on.
Well, no Deshaun Watson, no chance. The reason why, in my opinion, that Clemson won the national championship because Deshaun Watson, he got knocked down, he stood up. He got beat up, he stood back up. So to me, that he was the symbol of toughness for this Dabo Swinney's team. And I'm just telling you, no Deshaun Watson, this team's going to have a whole different look because they lost a lot of players when it came to the National Football League draft.
Get him.
Yeah, you know,
you're taking too much faith away from Dabo here. I mean, look at Saban. It doesn't matter what players he has on the field. It's plug and play. Sure, but I think give Dabo a minute.
Well, I like Dabo, but again, players win championships. So Dabo ain't catching no passes. Dabo didn't block nobody last year.
Are you saying that Nick Saban doesn't do anything for his?
But at the end of the day, Nick Saban also gets sometimes too much credit because Nick Saban, again, hadn't done all that. He has a great system, so does Dabo. But the bottom line is all of them seem to come from Nick, right? Think of all the guys that come from under Nick Saban's tree. So they all have a system. Where does Nick Saban come from?
Nicky.
He comes from a Bill Belichick tree. So really, all those different relationships start with Bill Belichick. So it really starts at that point. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know how we got there.
Clemson had a lot of close calls last year too. Should have lost to NC State, lost to Pitt. They did a little struggling. Might have been playing to the level of their competition, but they need to watch out this year.
It is kind of interesting. Things have changed a lot. Mainly, television has a big effect on this with the big games being televised. A lot of the big power schools would always start with the Little Sisters of the Poor and kind of build a resume before they get into it. Yeah. And now we're getting the big games early on, and I like it. It's good for college football. It's not good for the mental health of the coaches.
Well, I agree. And speaking of big games, how are we going to forget the Vols? Georgia Tech. At the Mercedes Dome, Mercedes Stadium.
Remember, he wasn't going to talk about the Vols.
Hey, I'm not saying the Vols are ready to beat Alabama. You
said they're going to beat Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, Alabama.
But the Vols will beat Georgia Tech.
Man, I'm about to take your player card.
Bob,
Alabama, Georgia Tech. The Vols and Georgia Tech, they're evenly matched. I'm going to tell you that right now. But you said earlier that Tennessee has a chance to beat Alabama.
I mean,
the Vols have a chance to beat Georgia Tech, but hey.
All right, we're off and running. Yes.
You got to identify with this, Bob, being a Michigan man.
Yeah.
They overlooked Appalachian State on the schedule. They put Georgia with Notre Dame. They play Appalachian first. So They got overlooked, and I wouldn't overlook Appalachian State.
You can't do it.
As a matter of fact, Appalachian State may be better than Notre Dame.
Wow. Better than Notre Dame, it was said here. We'll be back in just a moment as we continue with football's Play to Win.
Today's show is being brought to you by Nissan, the Orlando Law Firm, and Longhorn Steakhouse.
Nissan is the premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and we surprised fans with this award-winning lineup. Marcus Allen.
Are you guys ready to go train with us? Let's go do it.
Then they experienced Nissan's award-winning lineup.
Stop for it.
That's incredible.
It's Nissan's bottom line model year end event. Lease the Rogue family starting at just $159 per month, or save up to $10,760 on select models.
Will you take me to the Nissan dealership?
It's no secret that Georgia is a growing state. And with the help of Georgia Power, that growth will continue. Because we're committed to improving our state by bringing in new businesses and more good jobs. Over 134,000 in the last 10 years alone. Giving our well-trained workforce more opportunity to build a better future. Because Georgia is our home too, and we want life here to thrive for all of us.
I'm proud to announce the Henderson family is going with Academy.
Was this an easy choice?
You tell me. Why would I pay more for sports equipment when I can pay less?
Start your season with the best brands at the lowest prices guaranteed. Academy Sports and Outdoors.
We've owned a few different houses through the years. Your company was absolutely the best. They were so professional. Everything they didn't get a mark on a wall or anything else. It was clean, it was friendly, and it was fun. And most of the time, moving is not fun. I'm going to give a great recommendation to Atlanta Peach Movers. It's always on time and it's always professional. There is no tree in Atlanta Peach Movers.
To schedule your move, call Atlanta Peach Movers today.
Today's Atlanta Falcons report is brought to you by Ford F-150, the official truck of the NFL.
So the Falcons went to the Super Bowl last year, losing 34-28 to the New England Patriots. Matt Ryan, MVP. My question is, after that's a successful year by anybody's standards, obviously losing the Super Bowl, a disappointment to Falcon fans.
Quit saying
Can they
it.
be that good again?
Saying what?
That we lost the Super Bowl.
Can they be that good again?
I think they can, Bob, and I think they have a definite only one weak spot is at right guard because you lost Chris Chester. He retired, so you've been between Ben Garland and Wes Schweitzer to see who's going to replace him. Those guys have been competing all camp, and Dan Quinn is not yet ready to name who his starter going to be, but that's the only really true change in offense other than fullback.
Yeah, every key offensive player is back from that historical 2016 offense, the 1-5 in NFL history to average 33 points and 415 yards per game. And Julio Jones and Matt Ryan are in their prime. All these people that are like, oh, you know, I think the window is closed. I think the window is just opening. These guys are just getting started.
They are in their prime, no question about that.
The major thing is to get used to a new offensive coordinator and keeping Julio Jones healthy.
All right, let's go over to the defensive side. Will the defense be improved this year, Chuck Smith?
Well, I think so. I think, you got Marquez Manuel as the defensive coordinator, but I think it's really important that you look at the development of the young guys, Grady Jarrett, you look at Vic Beasley. I think they're all guys that are developing, Devondre Campbell. But I think one of the keys this year is going to be Tack McKinley, pass rushing from the outside. He's a speed rusher. They won't worry about him playing the run, but I think he's going to be a nickel pass rusher getting after quarterbacks.
How about additions? Any big additions? Biggest addition?
Yeah, that was the biggest one.
Right
Can't
there.
even say his name fast 3 times. Takarius McKinley, Takarius McKinley, Takarius McKinley. You want to see that guy rushing the passer. You want to see that edge rush with Vic Beasley, and you want to see those guys get after them. So he is that first-round draft pick that has to play up to his draft status.
Any other key additions?
I'm just going to interrupt you and tell you right now, defensive tackle Dontari Poe, he was very effective with the Chiefs, but he's a heavy boy, 350 pounds, so they put a weight clause in his contract. He's already down 15 pounds, so he can play a little faster, and his wallet's a little heavier, though. $125,000 in his pocket for losing. Who wants to pay me to lose weight? I'm in. I love his story, too. He comes from a really hard upbringing, and it's like a real-life blindside story.
I think a sleeper is Duke Riley out of LSU. I think they got him, late in the draft, and I think he was a steal, but I think he helps on special teams. I think he also spells maybe Devondre Campbell, also, looking at the linebacker position, gives them some depth, and that's what the Falcons needed at linebacker depth.
All right, so any other big additions? No.
They look good, and it's an enigmatic division. I don't know how good these other teams are in the NFC South.
You usually don't get a lot of big additions on a team coming off a Super Bowl performance. Right. You're not going to add a whole lot of things. We'll come back in just a moment and continue as we have football play to win.
Hurry, it's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Shovel.
Mulch.
Brick pavers.
Fence post.
Concrete.
We're good.
And wood for my castle.
We got it.
And a slide and a drawbridge.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. It's our best offer of the year on F-150. Get 0% for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Now get the built Ford Tough F-150 with 0 for 72 plus $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Hurry, the Ford Summer Sales Event and this deal ends September 5th.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Hurry in to Nally Ford and get 0% APR for 72 months on 2016 F-150 XLT, plus over $4,000 in bonus cash.
Hey y'all, we're Low Cash and we love Nally Ford and NallyFord.com.
It has to be Nally Ford, Sandy Springs.
Do you suffer from irritability, boredom, and chronic cravings? Mellow Mushroom's craft pizza, beer, and cocktails are clinically proven to improve your mood and leave you with a full belly. Mellow Mushroom is fast-acting, giving you relief when you need it the most. Side effects of Mellow Mushroom may include salivation, euphoria, and an insatiable craving for more Mellow Mushroom. Ask your doctor about Mellow Mushroom. She may want to come with you.
Who do you trust to change your oil? I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. This is really my car, and Haviland Express Lube is who I truly trust. They're professional, priced to beat the competition, and really, really fast.
Hey football fans, it's the season for tailgating and time to get your car's cooling system ready for winter. Mention Play to Win at any Haviland Express Lube and receive $20 off a coolant exchange service.
To see our real research and find the location nearest you, visit trustdale.com/Haviland.
Today's player injury and medical report is being brought to you by the Orlando Law Firm. Put a former insurance lawyer in your corner.
All right, time for our player medical report now with Dr. A. We're back at it again.
Again, and here we go. Lots of injuries, lots of players to talk about.
Okay,
yep. So
let's get started on some big names.
Yeah, so let's talk about Andrew Luck. Labral injury. He's played through a lot of seasons through it. Finally needed surgery, pretty extensive. Probably not going to be back until week 3 or 4, our algorithm is saying. Jordan Reed, he's got turf toe issues, grade 2. Now, remember, this got 5+ concussions in the NFL, and he suffered a grade 3 AC sprain last year. Also high injury risk and below average right now. Leonard Fournette, he's got a grade 1 foot injury, history of an ankle injury in the same lower extremity. Again, ORT, the optimal recovery time is 2 weeks. If he comes back, he will be back at low injury risk and peak health. Now, finally, Odell Beckham Jr. Everyone saw the hit the other night. Grade 2 high ankle sprain. It takes a while to heal from these, and there you go, Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay, Dr. Sadiq El-Amin has joined us too. Let's talk about that high ankle sprain a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. Very serious injury.
Yeah.
Typically, a high ankle sprain is an injury where you disrupt the ligament between the two bones above the ankle joint.
I see, above the ankle joint.
Above the ankle joint. And sometimes this could be very painful, take a while to get back, and sometimes may require surgery.
Gets all the way up to the calf. I mean, involves that whole
Yeah, it does.
lower leg.
You're absolutely right, it does.
And he's absolutely right, because our analytics are showing that he is not going to be back most likely until the 3rd or 4th week, but we shall see. If he comes back before the 4th week, then be very, very careful with him as a draft pick for your fantasy league.
Okay, well, there you go on on Odell Beckham Jr. and the high ankle sprain. And that is our player medical report, brought to you by the Orlando Law Firm. And we'll be right back with more Play to Win right after this.
In football, as in the legal system, it helps to know your opponent. I'm Roger Orlando, and I used to work for the insurance companies. I've seen their playbook, and I know their game plan. If you've been hurt in an auto accident, call me at 678-LAW FIRM.
Nissan is the premier partner of the Heisman Trophy. And we surprised fans with this award-winning lineup.
Marcus Allen.
You guys ready to go train with us? Let's go do it.
Then they experienced Nissan's award-winning lineup.
Stop for it. That's incredible.
It's Nissan's bottom line model year-end event. Lease the Rogue family starting at just $159 per month, or save up to $10,760 on select models.
Will you take me to the Nissan dealership?
You think you'll win the lottery when pigs fly? It's time to stare fate in its cute little face, because pigs are flying.
Hello, I'm Wilson.
This summer, get ready to bring home the bacon.
Seriously?
Play the 25th anniversary scratchers from the Georgia Lottery.
If you've been seriously injured in an accident, don't get blindsided by the insurance company. I'm Roger Orlando, and I've built a winning team to run interference against the insurance companies and get your case across the goal line. Call me at 678 Law Firm.
If what you see is what you get, then you've hit the jackpot. You can't fake steak. Longhorn Steakhouse. Tonight's special, the Great American Steak Dinner for $12.99. A center cut sirloin with a side, plus a starter or dessert. And for lunch, try one of our new burgers, like the barbecue bacon burger, only at Longhorn.
Today's lightning round is brought to you by Longhorn Steakhouse, now featuring Great American Steak Dinner. Longhorn Steakhouse, you can't fake steak.
All right, just a short time left in the show, but we can't leave without talking about Colin Kaepernick and the fact that he knelt for the national anthem to protest, as he said, police brutality. What's your take on this?
Well,
Nikki, to start?
We talked about this last year and him kneeling, and I don't at all disagree with the people that feel like America does not work for them equally and the police brutality. So that is not anything that I am looking to circle back on whatsoever. But my thing right now is this NAACP call to boycott the NFL until Colin Kaepernick gets a job, because they feel like he doesn't have a job right now because he knelt for the national anthem and because of the media circus that goes along with it. And it doesn't help that he's got the girlfriend on the radio comparing team owners to slave drivers in movies like Django. So it is a mess that comes with him. However, I'm more curious as to his stats, and so
would you sign Kaepernick? Would you sign him?
Look, I think he's probably good enough to be a backup, but he
Would you sign him?
He wants starter pay.
Would you sign him if you were GM?
No.
Okay.
I would.
Why?
I would, because I like controversy. I like all that action that comes with them, protest and all that, because social injustice does prevail. So I look at this all-in deal with Colin Kaepernick. I like the afro, and I like the fact that if he's standing up running around, he's a good quarterback.
Well, let me ask you this: as far as social injustice goes and African Americans, what about the African Americans that work at these stadiums when you're calling on a boycott?
We don't
for
need
all
a
of the
boycott.
NFL games? What about all the African Americans that work at the stadium that are not going to be able to afford to pay their bills because of this boycott?
We'll continue this conversation here. Hopefully you'll continue it also at home, as we're all out of time on football's Play to Win. Remember, Colin Kaepernick, what do you think?
Today's show has been brought to you by Haviland Express Lube. This is It Barbecued and Nally Ford Sandy Springs.